Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me this evening. A lot past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. I have been having some crazy days these last couple of days. So many things I've been dealing with and trying to grab through. But I still want to do my show. So I still find a way to do it. And here we are yet again. It is a little bit past 7 p.m. on a Friday night, and it's not an AMA. Wait a minute, Larry. It's Friday, and it's not an AMA. What does that mean? Yes, tomorrow there will be an AMA. Of course, yes. So I will also always try to do at least one AMA per week whenever I possibly can. This time it will be tomorrow. So we will still have one, of course, and you know you're going to like it. So do me a favor, click to the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. It does matter. Every little click does matter. If you can repost this someplace, please do so. If you have not already, hit the button known as subscribe or like or follow, whatever it is you're watching me on. Please do that too, because again, as I keep telling you, I've had to cut all my marketing in half. I got to work on some special marketing in the new year to get some more stuff going on. So please help me out to the best of your ability. And that is doing the like, the comment, and the subscribe, and the share, and all the things that we must do. So I appreciate that, guys, tremendously. Tonight, I wanted to talk about what's happening across the globe, which I have not talked that much about. And that is what we're doing when it comes to sanctions against Russia, Iran, Cuba, all the things. And what's happening right now to us, what's coming back to us. Now, you might be like, Larry, why do I care if we sanction Russia? Go ahead, sanction Russia. What do I care? Whatever. You may not care. Maybe you care about the Ukraine war. Maybe you don't. Some Americans care dearly. Some not that much. But whatever your view is, it does matter. And the reason why it matters more than anything is because since Biden, more than anybody, in the past, others have done it here or there, but it's been relatively limited. Biden decided, or the Biden administration, whether it was him or his auto pen, I don't know, whatever, but the Biden administration, again, he's responsible whether he did it or not, has decided or did decide that they were absolutely going to, hold on, do I have the wrong? I do, I'm sorry. There we go. Sorry. Got the microphone back on. Sorry, guys. I apologize. So they've decided that they are going to weaponize the dollar. That was what they want to do. They want to weaponize the dollar. So they are weaponizing the dollar. And it is a pain. Oh, is it a pain? It only hurts us. It's tomorrow. Why? Because as you weaponize the dollar, what winds up happening? People start going, well, then I don't want your dollar anymore. Right. And now if they don't want the dollar, then okay, they don't want the dollar. Then all of a sudden with the reserve currency and all of a sudden our debt becomes a real problem. And that has been happening. That has been happening now, all because of this stupid Ukraine war that, again, some of you who care about Ukraine, I get it. But the problem is we can't win this war. And it's almost 4 years now. It's almost 4 years now. And we cannot win this war. I know you guys are like, but Russia's bad. I know, but Putin bad. I know. As I always keep saying, I know. And what did I get from people 3 years ago when I said this was going to be the outcome? I got, you're a Putin puppet. That's what I got. Now what do we got? Bigger and worse problems. All right. I want to cover a couple pieces here that I think are interesting. This one is a shorter one. It kind of covers kind of what happened, because here's what actually happened. The Americans and the Europeans said, hey, we are going to freeze the assets of the Russians. We're going to sanction them and their economy will collapse. And then they'll have to do what we say because we got them by the you-know-whats, right? That was their logic. Okay, that's worked exactly. Oh, wait, never. But it's fine. This time it's going to work. You know, we got rid of the Cuban regime. Oh, no, wait, we didn't. That's fine. We got rid of the Iranian regime. Oh, no, wait, we didn't. It's fine because we got rid of the Korean regime. Oh, no, we didn't. Okay, yeah, it never works ever. Zero works ever, never works. But they thought this time it'll work. But here's the problem.
you have Russia, which has so many resources that people want to buy. They want their oil, their gas, their minerals. So you said, don't buy it. So you thought, again, you know what we'll do? We'll threaten them because prohibition, that always works. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't ever. Every tactic we thought to use never works, but we use them, even they never work, ever. So we said we're going to freeze their assets because that'll teach those Russians. And then we did a worse thing. We said after we freeze their assets, we won't let them trade in dollars anymore. And they went, oh, okay, we just won't trade in dollars. And then the Indians said, we'll buy their oil instead. And then when we're done buying that oil, we'll just sell it at a profit for us. And America said, India, don't do that. That's not going to help. And India said, I don't care what you think. We're going to make a killing. Thanks for the money. So they just funneled, this is true, they funneled their resources through India. India said, we'll buy them, and then we'll sell them on the market ourselves at a markup. And they did. And India said, thanks. That's wonderful. And America went, oh, and that's all that happened. So that was that. Then we said, okay, now we're going to weaponize the SWIFT, which is the mechanism to which you can transfer dollars around, right? So we're going to take the SWIFT system, and they can't use that. That'll cheat you, Russians. And the Russians went, oh, that sucks, but maybe we'll just not bother using that either. What? Then they said, okay, all these assets, Russia, that you have throughout the world, which is kind of focused in the area in Belgium, which I'll show you in a minute. We're going to take those assets, freeze them so you can't have those. And to be forward, these aren't individual people assets. These are sovereign assets of Russia, right? Of the nation. And these things they're based, most of them are bonds, and they make interest and they accrue, money. And it's about $100 or so billion of interest they accrued. And the Europeans said, we're smart. See, what we're going to do is we're going to take that interest. We're just going to take it. Yeah, we're going to take it because you're a bad guy, Russia. And this is war reparations. And we're going to take that $100 billion and we're going to give it to Ukraine to fight a war against you. They weren't going to take the actual assets, just the interest, which is about $100 billion. They said, we're going to do that. And that'll teach you, Russia. Russia went, oh, you're going to do that? Okay. Tell you what we're going to do. This is what Russia did. We're going to look at all the assets that you guys have in our country. And if you do that, we're going to seize all of them. Volkswagen, we're nationalizing your factories. I'm not joking. Shell, we're just taking your refineries. What are you going to do? Invade us? You just took our money. We will just take yours. And the amount of stuff the Russians took was more than $100 billion. I wish I was joking. It's we're just going to take it. What are you going to do? Nothing. You don't want to deal with us. You won't talk to us. So we'll just take your stuff. Then I said, oh, and just that, don't go to India anymore. You want to buy our oil or gas? You can. You must buy it in rubles or Chinese yuan, or you can't have it. And the world went, but we need it. Yeah. Because, of course, don't do nuclear energy because, don't do that because that might make you independent. So rely upon Russia, but go to war against them. That's brilliant. That was the smart move we did because that'll work. Never. So now we got to buy. Yeah. So now a bunch of countries now have to buy rubles and have to buy Chinese yuan, making them a stronger reserve currency than the euro. Boy, that didn't work out well, did it? No, not at all. Then they said, okay, not just that. You want to weaponize the SWIFT? We're going to make our own thing. We're called the BRICS Plus. We're going to make that thing. And there's going to be like a bunch of rubles in it and stuff. And you can borrow against that if you want to. You'll be fine. You'll move it that way. Yeah. Every single thing backfired. Because sanctions never work. Ever. They're stupid. Sanctions are dumb. They don't work ever. Because none of that stuff ever works. Never works ever. We do it all the time. Again and again and again. Because you know what else doesn't work? Prohibition. We keep trying that. And that never works. Again and again and again, we keep doing it. And now you have a nuclear power, a great power like Russia, and they go, well, we'll just do our own thing. What are you going to do? Nothing. They will do nothing against Russia now. Russia just said, oh, thanks. You have to rethink everything. Now you might go, well, that's fine. We can rethink. Oh, no. Once that happened, the rest of the world looked at it and said, wait a minute. You were open. You were open to seizing private property because you didn't like our policies? We thought that dependency on the dollar equaled stability. We didn't realize dependency on the dollar meant dependency upon American foreign policy. Well, we may not want that. We may not want that. Maybe we should get off the dollar. I don't trust you guys anymore. And now China and Japan, our biggest purchasers of our debt, said, you know what? We're not going to buy the debt anymore. Oh, we in trouble. Oh, yes. This is not going well. This war in Ukraine, for no reason, that we cannot win, is now going to make our economy even worse. You think I'm making it up? Hold on, let me give you a couple things. Some things you may enjoy. Some of these are pretty short, but I'll pop a couple of these out here so you can see them at least. So you'll understand what I'm talking about. So you don't think I'm totally crazy. I mean, I am crazy, but not totally crazy. You pop this out here again. All righty. Yep. There we go. All right. This is talking about the EU and all the weird stuff it's doing.
That was disappointing, even by European standards. The EU announced that not only would the long-awaited EU-Mercosur trade deal be delayed by another month, but also that they'd failed to agree on a plan to use frozen Russian assets to fund Ukraine. And
see, they were going to fund Ukraine and decided not to do it. Why?
Would instead be funding Ukraine with another 90 billion euros of joint EU debt.
So here is the brilliance, again, of the EU, how broken they are. The EU said, we're going to teach you Russians a lesson and we're going to use your money against you to fund Ukraine. Russia said, no, you're not, because we'll screw you over and take all your stuff. And they went, okay, we don't want to do, just kidding. Russia, we got jokes. Come on, we got jokes. We're just going to go into more debt. I wish I was joking. We're not going to stop the war. We're just going to more debt. Now, here's the worst part. If they really want to end this war, if the Europeans are real this war, they're going to have to put boots on the ground. That's the only chance they have of winning this war. I mean, and they're clearly not going to do that, but that's the only way. You got to be prepared to put British, Germans, French, boots on the ground, fighting Russians. You want to do that? Maybe win this war. You don't want to do that? You ain't going to win this war. You could go into debt 90 billion, 100 billion, 400 billion, 500 billion. Debt as much as you want. And the worst part is you're going into debt with a country that can't pay you back. There's no way Ukraine can pay them back. The country's devastated. They're going to barely be able to build their own country. Whatever is left of Ukraine at the end of this war, they got to build their own stuff. They're not going to pay you back. They're going to build their own stuff. They'll just default whatever they owe you. Whatever they owe you is default. They're not going to pay. I wouldn't if I were them. You wouldn't either. They got to rebuild their own country. They're going to pay them back. Never going to happen in a gazillion years. Never going to happen. Ukraine's never paying that back. And how could they? I'm not even mad at them. How could they pay it back? Impossible. So whatever debt, going to whatever you want, $bazillion, good, gazillion, trillions, gazillion dollars, great. Ukraine's never paying it back. Ever. They can't. And maybe in 1,000 years they'll pay it back. Maybe, but that's about it. If there's Ukraine or even Europe by then. That's about it. So what does that mean? Who's going to pay for that? I'm going to tell you who's going to pay for that. European taxpayers. Isn't that great? Isn't that great, European taxpayers? For what? For more people to die in a war that cannot be fixed. In a war that cannot be fixed. Minor Threat says, I'm mad at them, leadership so a lot. No, you shouldn't be. Minor Threat, if you knew I was a thief, like I'm telling you, yeah, I'm a thief, and you saw me be a thief in the past, you know I steal money, you know I'm not trustworthy, and then you loan me money, that's your fault. That's your fault. There is, when you're deciding to loan money to somebody, this is two people. You're deciding to loan me the money. I'm deciding to take it. You know I'm a thief. I'm telling you. You've seen me. And you go, yeah, Larry, take money. I stole your money. That's your fault. I'm not trying to be cruel. But did anyone think that any former Soviet republic was going to be, corruption free? Did anybody think that? Nobody did. That's our fault for giving them money. Because I see your point. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Lunatic is in the house. Thank you, brother, for the $5. This is planned. The global movie script is playing as written. I'm losing my patience with Americans. Let's all step to the plate of global conflict. I am with you because we keep worrying about stuff that doesn't matter. We worry about stupid internal civil wars or what somebody's wearing or what someone said about another. We concerned about that while everything around us is collapsing. You're correct. And it's affecting us. All right, let me walk down this road a little bit. You are correct. Yes. Hold on. Let me go to a couple of these if I could.
So in this video, we're going to look at why things fell apart and how the EU's growing dependence on joint debt paves the way for a more federal Europe.
Now, this is exactly what Lunatic is talking about, which is why I'm glad I just played this spot. Yeah, they're putting it together so they can become connected. They're trying to break up decentralization and have more centralized control. Absolutely true.
If you love staying informed and want some of the best reporting on since mid-2025, and international bond markets aren't willing to lend Ukraine any more money.
Yes.
Estimates vary a bit, but most well-informed people think that Ukraine is going to run out of money sometime in the second quarter of next year.
I've been telling you, this war ends next year. Not because Putin is good or Zelensky is good or Putin's bad, or not because that, because they're going to run out of money. Unless Europeans decide to literally put boots on the ground, this war ends next year. I don't know when next year, maybe end of the year. It has to end. It just has to, because Russia is nowhere near as bad as people said they are. They have tons more time to survive, tons more time left over. Ukraine does not.
And funding Ukraine past this point will be expensive. The European Commission, for instance, estimates that Ukraine needs something like 135 billion euros in financial aid to make it through 2026 and 2027. Yep. Although this is probably an underestimate, given that this assumes that the war will end in late 2026, and that supporting Ukraine has cost something like 100 billion euros a year so far. Unsurprisingly, this provoked some anxiety among Ukraine's backers in the EU.
I would be worried too.
Who realized that they somehow have to come up with hundreds of billions of euros.
Yep.
And as such, their attention quickly turned to the frozen Russian assets sitting in the EU.
These are sitting in a place in Belgium called Euroclear. That's where they're
sitting context, right now. After Russia's full-scale invasion, the EU and Ukraine's other allies froze about 300 billion euros worth of sovereign Russian assets. Yep. That is, assets owned by the Russian central bank, but held outside of Russia.
Could you imagine if United States of America, had bought bonds in some other country, right? Finland, whatever, bought bonds in Finland. And then Finland said, yeah, we're just keeping the money. Could you imagine that? Yeah, we're just keeping it. No, you're not keeping it because we bought bonds. And the bonds have a yield of X, and you're going to give us, our money plus X. That's how the game's played. No, we're just going to keep it. Why? Because we don't like the fact you bombed Iran. So we're just going to keep your money. That's what we did. We don't like the fact that you did something. You make up, but Larry, the invading is different. It may be different, but that doesn't mean you get to steal a sovereign country's assets. Property rights is going to sound so libertarian, but I don't care. Property rights is still the basis of society. You have to know who or whom or what entity or whatever owns any given asset. And they have to accept that this is owned or that's not owned, or whatever the case may be. So you can't just go, we're just keeping it. We decided we're just keeping it. Doesn't work.
So that Russia couldn't use these assets to finance its war. Of this 300 billion, about 210 billion are in the EU, and about 185 billion of that is in Belgium.
So here's the problem with this. You might go, but Larry, if we're at war, okay, great. Then declare war on Russia. We didn't do that. EU didn't do that. Germany didn't do that. America, no one has declared war on Russia except Ukraine, if you count down if they did. No one's officially at war with Russia except Ukraine. So you want to start taking assets? You want to start stealing stuff, bombing stuff, taking stuff? Declare war. Put troops there. Then it's totally fine. Then that's war then. This isn't war. This is, I don't like what Russia is doing, but I won't declare war. So I won't do what's required to stop them, but I won't do, so I want you to walk away. walk away or stop them. That's it. Walk away or stop them. One of the two. If this is really the existential threat that they're telling us that it is, why aren't Marines landing in Crimea? I'm not joking. What if this is, they're telling me this is the end of the world, Russia's going to invade the world and we're all going to die. Okay, great. Why aren't Marines landing in Crimea? Why isn't the Army? Why isn't the U.S. Army? Why is our tank divisions rolling across the Russian steppes right now? Why aren't our planes bombing Russian cities right now? If this is what we're talking about, it, why not? Of course not. Of course not.
Specifically in a Belgian central securities depository called Euroclear. Since 2024, the EU has been using the interest accumulating from these assets to finance Ukraine's war effort. But Europe refrained from actually seizing the assets for at least two reasons. First, and most obviously, it would be illegal. Euroclear and other European depositories are obliged to hold those assets for the Russian central bank. While skimming interest off the top might be legally dubious, actually taking the assets and giving them to Ukraine would be pretty clearly illegal.
Yep.
Now, it's not clear how Russia would...
Now, what if Russia says, Belgium, this is a Belgian bank, Belgium, you've stolen our money. We want that money plus interest plus damages. What if they say that? And Belgium goes, we ain't paying. Russia declares war on Belgium and invades. They'd have a right to, wouldn't they? What if, I'll go to the same option. What if we did the same thing in Finland and Finland said, well, you're bombing Iran, so we're not giving you that money. And wouldn't we be open to invading Finland? Take that right back? Of course. Or whatever other damage we want to? Of course. Of course. Sink their ships, whatever. Of course.
Actually bring a case. After all, what jurisdiction would actually be able to hear and enforce such a case? But this was enough to put European...
Okay, that's wrong. See, that part's wrong. The way this system works is there are certain neutral places that are able to do that, like Singapore as an example. Singapore can act as a neutral court in finance issues in the world. As nations, we've agreed to that in the financial system. So there is a place you would go. You just go to Singapore and say, hey, Singapore, here is our case. Say it's right or wrong. Singapore, you go to UN in theory also, but you just go to financial issue, just go to Singapore. They would rule one way or the other. They would rule in Russia's favor. In this case, you just took their money. At that case, Russia has an international reason to invade.
Of seizing the assets while other funding sources were still available. The second and related reason, though, is that European policymakers worried that seizing assets would undermine the appeal of Europe's financial system.
Why in the world would you, and this is the thing I'm bringing up, you're some nation, you're, again, Finland, you're, I don't know, Luxembourg, you're whatever. Why in the world would you put your money into a European bank or buy European bonds when if you don't follow whatever rules they say, they're going to take your money? You go, Larry, it's war. Okay, great. Burundi's been at war recently. Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania. You may go, do I care about those countries? They're all up-and-coming countries. They're the global south. They're the ones who want to buy our bonds. They're the ones who want to get involved in this. Why would they come to us if they do something that we don't like and then they don't give us our stuff? When here come the Russians and the Chinese going, we don't care. We don't care. You want to go to war? You want to bomb somebody? Well, we do it too. We don't care. We're not going to seize your stuff. You can keep your money in our banks. We'll be fine. Buy our bonds. Don't buy theirs. The Belgians and EU, they're going to be all hoity-toity and snooty. If you don't do what they want, they're going to keep your money. We won't. We don't care. You can war with your neighbor. We don't care. Why would you? We're ready to invade Venezuela. They don't do what we want. We are making a world that says, why would you do business with us? And we wonder why they're walking away from us. This is why.
Which is supposed to be rules-based and predictable. They argue that not only would this mean less foreign money flowing into Europe, it would also reduce the appeal of the euro as a reserve currency. For context, a reserve asset is just an asset that financial institutions like to hold in their reserves. The US dollar has long been the world's reserve currency, but Trump's unorthodox economic policies have lessened its appeal. And European policymakers have quietly been trying to pitch the euro as an alternative. there remains some anxiety.
Yeah, that's what the Europeans should have done, is said, oh, Trump is crazy. He's a nut. Oh, don't use dollars. Use euros. That's what they should have done. They didn't. They went, oh, Trump is crazy and we're crazy too. They didn't do. They should. Look, I'm not saying that Trump's is failing yet. It looks bad. But if I'm European, I would totally throw Trump under the bus. Wouldn't you? Right? If I'm German or if I'm French, I'm going to throw Trump under the bus. Oh, he's crazy. Come with us. Use euros instead. Of course I would do that. They didn't. I don't know why they didn't.
That seizing Russian assets would undermine this pitch, because foreigners will be less likely to hold euros or assets in Europe if they thought they could be seized.
True.
Anyway, that's why the EU didn't seize the frozen Russian assets earlier. They were worried both that it was illegal and that it might undermine Europe's appeal as a financial safe haven. However, when it became clear that Ukraine was running out of money, there was a renewed push to seize these assets. Unfortunately, this was promptly blocked by Belgium, who said that they didn't want to seize the assets because they were worried about legal challenges from Russia.
And once legal might mean physical. Yes, legal might basically you don't want Putin going, Belgium, where's my money? Where's my money, Belgium? Where's my money? You don't want Putin saying that.
That Belgium would really struggle to pay back 185 billion euros, given that its entire GDP comes out to about 600 billion. Other European countries also worry that this might interrupt ongoing peace negotiations, not least because Trump's original 28-point peace plan envisioned using about 100 billion euros of these frozen assets to fund a US-led reconstruction effort in Ukraine. To placate these concerns,
So the one thing I'm going to give Trump here in this one, the Trump people, I don't know if Trump, obviously, but his team, again, for Biden screwing us up, whether it was him or not, he gets credit. Trump gets credit for this piece of it too, which is Trump actually said, hey, I don't want to do this. Don't do this because I want to use these as leverage to get a peace deal. That's true. Trump's people like, don't do this. Stop. What are you doing, Europe? No, we need to hold on to this stuff because I want to be able to give it back to Putin as a carrot so we can get a damn peace deal. That was a smart move. Europeans like, we don't care. We're super cool. They were like, well, whoops, sorry. So they actually fell back. The Trump administration actually did say, don't do this. That Trump wants to use this as a tool.
The European Commission came up with the so-called reparations loan scheme. The idea here was that instead of just seizing the assets, the EU would borrow the equivalent amount of money from Euroclear and other depositories and then lend that money at zero interest to Ukraine. And Ukraine would only pay back this money if it received reparations from Russia as compensation for the damage caused by its war of aggression.
Which means never.
The EU would then pay the money back to Euroclear and the other depositories, who would then have enough cash on hand to meet their obligations to Russia's central bank. Technically speaking, with this reparations loan, the EU never seizes the Russian assets. They just remain frozen until Russia pays reparations.
Yes, now don't get me wrong. That is a better plan, except that Russia's never paying reparations. So better, still never going to happen. But definitely, at least they're not openly robbing somebody. So I guess I'll give them that.
Again, though, Belgium wasn't convinced. Not least because Russia looks very unlikely to pay reparations unless Zelensky somehow ends up marching on Moscow. To placate these concerns, the European Commission went around and started asking member states for guarantees to foot the bill if Russia didn't end up paying reparations, with richer countries expected to pay the most.
Of course.
Unfortunately, once again, this didn't really work because some member states apparently refused to sign up to these guarantees.
So I think we can end this by once you see that what was happening, it isn't going to work. Not just that, they started just taking stuff. Russia just started taking stuff, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, we'll wrap that piece up so we can keep moving from there. There was another piece I want to bring up also, which I talked about here. And this one is, hold on if I can. This is US debt now coming from this. This is a secondary piece, which is also bad for us. That part's bad for Europe and bad for us. But here is another one.
And dance today, Christmas is over, and the chaos is back. Now let's talk about the dollar for a bit. We are in an era of the dollar weakening, and it's just year one. And that isn't good news for the US economy going into 2026.
Not
Now,
at
for
all.
many months, we have heard that Japan is about to raise interest rates, and that is horrible news for US assets. And it seems like the risk has already been priced in.
Yep.
But is it really? Now, next year, we could really see Japan getting pushed into a corner, and this will put Trump's economy in a real pickle.
That's the problem. Because if Japan doesn't buy US debt, we are in trouble.
Despite Trump saying the economy is an A+++, US debt is being shunned by global investors again.
Yep.
Now, the results of the 2-year Treasury auction are out.
You see it right
and
here.
It's not good. Instead of an A+ for demand, we have a D+ grade, which is...
I want you to see the auction grade. That piece down at the bottom, D, not A. D. We have so much debt that people don't want to buy our debt anymore. We have so much debt that people don't want to buy our debt anymore. That's not good. Not just that. With de-dollarization, well, they don't need to. I don't want to buy a bunch of dollars. I got to buy Russian oil. I need me some rubles. I need me some yuan. I'm not buying American debt anymore. Why would I? I'm gonna go buy me some rubles. It is terrible. Yes. Little Frog knows Japan has held most amount of US dollar debt since WW2, basically. Yes, and China. Both of those together. But yes, it's been either Japan or China have held the most. That's true. And once that stops, how are we gonna keep doing this? How are we gonna keep funding this debt that won't stop? We're de-dollarizing. The world's de-dollarizing. We still got more debt. People aren't buying. This is not good. This is absolutely not good.
It's an absolute disaster. Now,
Yep.
International buyers fell from 57% to just 53%. I guess they are waking up to the risk of holding US paper.
Yep.
And these are 2-year notes which have less time duration risk than the usual 10-year long-term bond.
Yes, so what they're doing is they're making shorter notes. I'm not joking. So instead of them doing, this, they do a shorter note or this to change. They're changing the time frame of the notes so that people, oh, you want longer? Okay, we'll do long. Oh, you want okay, we'll do shorter, right? So whatever you want, they're swapping and mixing the time when they got paid back. Now you might go, well, why does that matter? Well, if I used to have to wait 10 years before I have to pay back, what happens when I got to pay back in 2? Oh, now I got to sell more in 2 years. I don't get the scam for 10 years. Yes, absolutely. Phil says, it's true. Gold and silver prices are through the roof. Enrique says that. Yes, it's happening right now. Of course. Of course. When I was talking about my plan to create a sovereign fund for New York State, I was talking about hard assets, gold, silver, and of course, Bitcoin too. These assets are all better than US debt. What is Russia, China, and Japan buying if they're not buying US debt? They're buying gold and silver. Yes, they are. That's why the prices are going through the roof. They know that's still money. This is not good, guys. I'm giving you bad news, I know, but it's just true.
Investors, especially foreigners, are walking
But
away.
don't worry. Worry more about what Candace Owens yelled at Tim Pool or something. Way more important. Worry about that. Not this. Way more important. Yes.
Way in droves.
Lunatic says, Matt, thank you for the $5. Imagine a collection call from Japan or China will come by the debt you created. Centralized financial systems are failed. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And eventually going to be like, where's my money? Where's my money? So yes. Mike says BRICS is dead. It's the BRICS coin or the BRICS, I guess, currency is dead. Yes, but BRICS is not dead. The BRICS currency, that's true, that's dead. But they've created the BRICS Plus. That's already created. So they've already got a fund that you can borrow against. BRICS is not dead. That is propaganda. Now, the BRICS currency, that died. The concept behind the BRICS currency was going to be some type of gold back or gold something currency that never happened. That was the concept. That went away. The BRICS group, that like, oh yeah, we'll make this group that's going to do, that is very slow. Not dead, but it's very slow. The big piece though is this BRICS Plus is real and we're forcing it because we've decided that if you want to be dependent upon a dollar, you must be dependent upon our foreign policy. Now, others have done it. Biden was the worst. Biden and this Ukraine thing was the beginning of the end. It was the beginning of the end for this whole de-dollarization thing. I'm not sure who convinced Biden or people around him who convinced him to do this stuff. Maybe lunatics right. Maybe the whole thing is just, we're ready to go. The whole thing's going to fail. Maybe it is, so they can centralize the entire thing. But it's not done. BRICS is dead, but the pro-CCP faction keep trying to push it. No, Russians are pushing it too. So are Indians. They're all pushing it. They're happy to have it. Yes, U.S. is ridiculous, but there is no real alternative. Euro's not reliable, and France is CCP simp. Euro is not reliable. It's true, but there is no alternative. The Russians just made it. You want Russian oil. You want Russian gas. You want Russian minerals, and a whole lot of the world wants it. You're going to pay in rubles, or you're going to pay in yuan. Oh, you got a problem with that? No worries. We got the BRICS Plus. Got you covered. Go through BRICS Plus. Don't go through SWIFT. That is the alternative. Now, is it as good as SWIFT? No, of course not. I'm not saying that. Is it as powerful as SWIFT? No, of course not. Is it the same as the American dollar? Of course not. But is it dead? No. Dead is an exaggeration. It is still doing this. It is still moving up. Now, is this 5 years, 10 years? I don't know how many years it is. But BRICS is going to be a real competitor to the dollar. That is going to happen. I don't know how many years. It's not tomorrow. It's not next year. I mean, it's not there yet. But to say dead, exaggeration. It is not dead. It is just slowly moving up. It will eventually be a competitor if we don't stop this stupid foreign policy. Years ago, I forgot who said it. He said, the business of America is business. We have forgotten that. Now the business of America is empire, and that is what's going to crush us. The business of America should be business. That's it. The dollar should happily be, hey, buy stuff, whatever. You got stuff going on, we don't care. Just buy stuff with dollars. That's it. Buy stuff with dollars. That's not happening. So it's yeah, let me keep going.
US fiscal policy and the dollar itself is collapsing. This is just from investment money. They are walking away because of two main reasons. US bonds might not perform well, not when Besson keeps borrowing money endlessly. And this is going to keep yields elevated and bond values down. So even if you buy in today, there's no guarantee that the value will go up. You are rolling the dice standing in front of a train, and the incoming train is the collapsing dollar itself. The currency will book its worst year since 2017. It's down by more than 8%.
This is
Options
Bloomberg.
Traders in Wall Street, they're extremely bearish.
This is Bloomberg.
And they are bearish for a reason. Dollar down cycles that are structural, they normally last for more than 1 year.
And that's why I'm saying this is real stuff. People are not buying. It's a problem. And the last piece I'll bring up is this is Japan, which is literally dumping our debt. They are just dumping our debt, which is the last piece I'll bring up. And then we'll have a chat on this whole thing. I know some of you are like chomping at the bit thinking I'm crazy. I'm not crazy, but it's fine. You think I am if you want to.
It is rattling Wall Street, spooking currency traders, and raising urgent questions about the future of American borrowing. It all began when Japan's government approved a massive multi-billion-dollar stimulus package, one that analysts warn could undermine not
Japan's throwing out stimmy checks. You know, we got a problem with Japan's doing stimmy checks.
only Japan's financial stability, but also the United States economy. The backlash was immediate. As the yen tumbled to levels unseen in nearly a year, Japan's finance officials began firing off verbal warnings, signaling possible intervention to prop up their sinking currency. The yen briefly jumped after Finance Minister Satsuki Katayama cautioned that Tokyo might step in to counter, which should hold volatile and speculative markets.
Now that's different. Japan, their culture is very different than ours. They have been, their bank is very much involved in their economy. I mean, just blatantly like buy, sell, move, shift. And their culture is okay with it. Their government's okay with it. It's kind of how they roll. We are nowhere. Our Fed obviously has issues, but does nowhere near as much as theirs. Theirs is directly involved. Their government buys parts of companies. I mean, they're already on board. They're all about that. They're all about that.
Moves. But that bounce did very, very little to change the big picture. And the big picture is the yen is weak, markets are very nervous, and Japan's fiscal situation is spiraling into a global problem. It is. Some economists, for example, Peter Schiff, have gone as far as warning that Japan could inadvertently torpedo the US economy.
Bingo.
And the numbers are very difficult to ignore. The yen has already lost, believe it or not, around 6% of its value since Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi came into power. The decline is driven by her very aggressive spending policies. Japan's worsening fiscal outlook paired with pressure on the Bank of Japan to maintain ultra-loose monetary policy has created a dangerous mismatch.
This is a problem. Now, I'll wrap that piece up. I want you guys to see that. Now, why did I bring all this up? Because this is a big problem for America. We are looking at the wrong stuff. Next year, this is the end of the year, right? Coming up here. It's one of my last shows for the year. I got a couple more left, but working up towards the end here. Look, this is a big problem. Next year is going to be a very tough year. A very tough year. And a lot of this is because there's big issue stuff. Our foreign policy is wrecking us. Our foreign policy of constant intervention is making it harder for us to do things, de-dollarizing, being either go to war or don't. And we don't do that. Go to war or don't. There was a reason why our founders said Congress needs to declare war. There was a reason, and it was the right reason. Declare war or don't. Well, Larry, we can't declare war against non-countries. That shit people made up, not true. We declared war against the Barbary pirates in the 1800s. Pirates. We declared war against pirates. I'm not joking. It's a real thing. We can declare war against whoever we want. Whatever. We can declare war against the Houthis if we wanted to. Doesn't matter. We can declare war against whatever we want. But if we declare war, we have an actual way to do this, end it. What is peace? Let's do this. We don't do that. We just stay in perpetual war, and we decided to control people through our stupid ideas of sanctions, which never work, of blockade, which never work. These things don't work. They just make us spend more money, and they make people hate us. It creates the crises that we have constantly. John, thank you for $10, my friend. You appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you again. So let me grab a couple of comments. You guys, a lot of comments. I want to grab some of these comments if I could, so we can start talking on this. All right. Shelly says, maybe for other countries, but if we lose our fiat currency, we got nothing. We went from gold to silver, then fiat currency and runaway debt. We should return to at least a silver standard. Shelly, I don't know if we can. A lot of hardcore libertarians got to go back to gold. I don't know if we can. I'm not saying we can't. I'm saying that type of shift would be such a massive shift in our economy. I don't know how do we manage that without so much disruption that the whole economy doesn't collapse. We have to find an answer. This is why I'm thinking cryptocurrency may be a better bet. Now, I'm not saying the CBDC. Sadly, I think the federal government is going to make that the answer. Their answer is going to be CBDC, UBI. That's their answer. To this point, Lunatic is exactly right. This is the plan. I really believe the plan is CBDC, UBI. I would like to stop that plan, Shelley. I don't like that idea. I think it's wrong. I think it is the plan. Everything we're doing is going towards that. At one point, look, let's be forward. The same way Ukraine's never paying back those debts, are we going to pay back $8 trillion? Geez, I don't know what number it is. Where the guys who need them, right? So, are we going to pay back $38 trillion? I mean, maybe not tomorrow, right? How do we get past that? Go on to Rumble if I can. JJ said, thank you for $2. Hold question at an appropriate time. This is the appropriate time. How does Bitcoin play a role in this dilemma? Look, Bitcoin, sadly, isn't the currency that it was supposed to be. It just isn't. I know it's made for that. I get that. You Bitcoiners be mad at me when I say this, right? But it simply isn't that. Bitcoin right now is still in the vast majority of people's eyes, and I mean like 99% of them, if not more, it's an investment. Now, the advantage of that is, can you take Bitcoin, put it someplace, and then create a currency off of it? I think you can. I'm not sure how, but that to me seems to make sense. Or can you borrow against it or something like that? I think that to me makes the most sense right now for Bitcoin. Can Bitcoin at one point, maybe after it's done, when there's no more Bitcoins being made anymore, can it somehow become more stable? Can it be looked upon as, not an investment? Maybe, but again, many of this is a cultural. Why is the dollar valuable? Heavily because it's cultural. We say it's valuable. That's why. So can we do that with Bitcoin? Eventually, I think. But right now, Bitcoin is simply seen as an investment. It's not seen as a currency. And I know you hardcore Bitcoiners, but it's a currency. If people don't see it as one, doesn't matter, right? We have to think about, I'm using Bitcoin to buy my DoorDash or whatever, right? To buy a car. I have to see it that way. If I don't, it doesn't matter. So I think Bitcoin can play a role. So can other cryptocurrencies in theory, right? But we have to get rid of. The problem is the meme coins have also trashed the concept for many people. The culture of cryptocurrency has been trashed by the meme coins and the rug pulls. Again, true. Can you make a currency that would actually work? Can you digitize and can you tokenize most things? You can. The question is, do people trust it? Do they believe it? Right? Culture matters here tremendously. And the meme coins have wrecked a lot. We have to come back from that. Can we? I think we can. We can. It's doable. It would just take time. So, yes. All righty. Let's see here. JJ goes on to say, Florida made CBDC illegal and Trump hates CBDC. Yes, I agree. I don't think Trump is going to do a CBDC. I don't think he will. I don't. I think it'll be once we get to a point to where we just can't pay anything anymore. When that happens, I think that's when the government goes, well, there's always this thing. And the way they do it is through, we already have the system set up through that awesome president, FDR, terrible president, already set from him, already set up. He set us up for CBDC and UBI 70, 80 years ago. He set us up a long time ago for this, right? This is maybe 80 years ago. He set us up a long time ago for this. Long time ago. We're set up. So you create a CBDC, and then you say, only take tax dollars in it or something like that, right? You have to pay your income tax, pay it in that. Or the opposite way, every check that comes from the government is only in CBDC. Your EBT, your Social Security, right? Your disability check, CBDC, right? Your unemployment insurance with AI making everybody unemployed, that's in CBDC money. Sorry, that's not in dollars. We don't do that anymore. We need to not take it. Not gonna take it? Of course you are. Of course you are. And then they'll just extend everything. Like, remember, Lars was talking about this when he was on my show the other week, right? So now, since you've been unemployed for 6 months or whatever the time frame is, we'll just extend it for a year. And then another year. And then I go, wait a minute, why is this guy getting a check and I'm not? I want to check. Well, we'll give you a check too, because you're right, it's not fair, right? I gave Rich a check, so I got to give Shelly a check. Let me give Phil, you didn't get your check. Let me get you a check. And we'll have another year before you know it was on UBI. And it's all CBDC. I think that's the future plan that many people have. I'm trying to stop that. I think it's terrible for us. But whether I think it's terrible or not, I think it's the plan. That is my view. You can tell me I'm wrong if you want, but I think it's true. Rich says Western imperialism is a massive problem for us, which is literally why we're in massive debt bubble in the first place. It's just sad as hell. True. You are right. Phil's on board with you too. Absolutely. Roy says, hello, y'all. Happy Kwanzaa. I don't know what Kwanzaa is, but it's today. It is today. You're right. I've been thinking, and I wish Larry would speak on macroeconomic topics, and here we are. I do sometimes speak on them. I do. I often don't recently because I'm running for governor, so I try to keep it more localized in New York, right? So, but I do sometimes bring it up. I do. Usually on my Gov Shack, I don't bring it up because I'm talking about New York stuff, but I do bring this stuff up. It does matter. We have to worry about this stuff. So there we go. All righty. Rich says, all the money that goes in defense, we could have spent on making great preschool for kids with all types of staffing and other amenities. Instead, we get robbed to pay for American WMDs. I would argue the reverse. I would say, when it goes in defense, could have just been kept in communities. And the communities could have decided what types of amenities they required, whether those were preschools or not, whether those were preschools, whether they were kindergartens, whether they were college, whatever, right? Whatever, daycares. I'd rather keep it in the community as localized as possible and then let those local communities figure out what they want to do. I think they should. So yes. All right. Wesley goes on to say, we are a war-based expansionist power. Yes. But we have been tongue-in-cheek or hypocritical about this truth most of the time. Yes, we blatantly lied. We've said that we do this for democracy or whatever is the lie that we tell ourselves or tell our people. None of it's true. None of it's true. We haven't fought a war for our freedom (1812), 200 years, maybe. I'm guessing. If now you might go, but Larry, we freed the slaves of the Civil War. True, but that war wasn't fought for that. But yes, and in the end it was, right? I should be clear. In the end it was. It didn't begin that way, but it did end that way, right? With the Emancipation Proclamation, it did end that way. The World War II didn't begin with trying to stop Hitler. It ended that way, but it began because they bombed us in Pearl Harbor. The wars always begin for some non-awesome reason, but they always end, to that World War I didn't begin to stop the monarchs, but at the end it was to stop monarchies. So it always ends on we're righteous. It ends righteously. It doesn't begin righteously. No wars begin righteously. They always end righteously, right? Well, the winner says so, at least. So yes. All righty. I do appreciate that. All righty. If I walk down this road, Mike says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Yes, Merry Christmas, everybody. A little bit late, but yes. A little bit late. Okay. Rich goes on to say, a complete rebalancing of power is underway as former emerging empires are challenging the unipolar world order. The reason is because we decided to push. We took the unipolar world order and tried to put everybody under our boot, thinking that would work. It never does. We could have made a much better world order, a more decentralized one, with people believing that groups of people get together, countries get together to make things work. People voluntarily joining things. We could have had that happen. We didn't. We went, Russia's dead. Start smashing. That was USSR's dead. USSR's dead. Start smashing. Terrible idea. And now they're pushing back. And the sad part is you can only push people so far. Desperate people do desperate things. Do you think Europe, Africa, Asia wants to get off the dollar? Like they want that? Those companies, companies don't want that. The dollar was working. They're making money. SWIFT's working. Why are we messing with it? Because America's screwed up and we're sanctioning this and freezing that and changing this. And that's why. If we just would have shut our mouths and said, okay, Chinese, you're doing this terrible thing. Well, what are you going to do? But keep your money. Russia's doing terrible. Okay, but here's your money. But no, we have to virtue signal and then use this. Look, if the thing that Russia's doing or China's doing is so horrible, then invade. I'm not joking. If it really is this horrible thing, then invade. Then ask Congress to declare war. Say, hey, this is terrible. We see this as a threat to America. Or we want to be righteous. So we want to invade China because of the Uyghurs or whatever. Okay, go to Congress. Say, hey, Congress, go back to constituents and tell them we want your children to go off and die in a war for the Uyghurs. Now, if Americans go, yes, we care that much about Uyghurs, we're prepared to send our sons and daughters off to die for them, so be it. That's what our country was made on. If America, we would never say, but say I'm wrong, and Americans really love Uyghurs, and we're like, you know what? Yes, we're prepared to send our sons and daughters to go die for Uyghurs. Okay, declare war and go die for Uyghurs. I get it. America has decided so. We want to die for Ukraine. If Americans are saying that, awesome. Declare war on Russia and we'll all go die for Ukraine. If that's what we all want. Clearly, we don't want that. What we want to do is virtue signal. We want to say China bad. and put a Ukraine flag in our profile, virtual signal, and let the war go on forever. Well, the American government goes, good. That's way better, because then I can righteously keep stealing your money. I can keep stealing your money, send it overseas, and I can be righteous while I'm doing it. I can grift all day long and be righteous. Thank you, American public. I'm so glad you don't care about these stupid declarations of war. Those are dumb. Don't do that. We can just do stuff and grift all day long, which is what they're doing. Which is literally what they're doing. Yes. So anyway, I'll keep going down here. Rich goes, metals making a killing. Yes. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So Doc says, copper, all-time high, nickel close, every metal is getting bought. And you know who has a whole bunch of these metals? Russia. Lots of them. You know who else has those? Countries like Tanzania. Yeah. Countries that aren't important. Yeah, they are. Most of the areas of the Sanal, I think it's called. Sanal, is that right? Sanal, I think that's what it's called. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, that area, Mauritania. That was called. If they have a name for that. That group, they got tons of that stuff. Lots of it. You know who's guarding that right now? Russians. They threw the French out. Frenchies are mad. Yeah, they got that too. So now the Russians go there and they want all this stuff, copper, nickel, all those metals, gold, silver, which used to be bought all the time with dollars, which still usually are. Mike is correct. It's still, most people still use dollars. Yep. But there's going to be a whole bunch of them now being bought with rubles and Chinese yuan. More and more, actually, because when the Mali government decides it wants to do X, Y, and Z in Algeria, and America goes, don't do that. We're going to whatever. The Mali government goes, oh, Russians are here. We'll just go to them. Yeah, this is not a good thing. I have an idea. Leave people alone. And all the time I keep hearing this. You stupid libertarians, you guys are isolationists. I'm not an isolationist. That is propaganda. I'm a non-interventionalist because our interventions don't work. They fail. They feed a military complex. They feed debt. They make us have more inflation. And the average person is worried about Ukraine or China or Gaza or insert place here that we're fighting some war, and they can't pay the rent. They can't buy a new car. They can't find a girl for a boyfriend. They can't get a good education. Their kids don't know anything. The kids can't read. That's what we got. But let's care about other stuff over there and throw money over there. Yes, let's stop. Non-interventionalists. That's smart. That's smart. But they're coming after us because they hate us because of our freedoms. Utter horseshit. Absolutely not true. Never was true. Is not true. There is literally not one person, 0 people in the Middle East who wake up in the morning and go, man, I'm pissed. Why? America's freedoms. No one never says that. Never happened ever. Utter lie. Never happened. They wake up in the morning, if they're mad at us, and go, I'm mad at America. Why? Because they bombed me and killed my family. That they say. That they say. Yes. But they don't say, because freedoms. No one says that. That is propaganda. So if we don't bomb them, they probably won't care about us. There's very few terrorist attacks in like Finland. There's some, very few. Why? Because the Finns aren't attacking people. They leave people alone. They're not isolationists. They still trade. Still buying stuff from Finland. They sell stuff, don't they? Whatever they sell. They sell something, I'm sure. We buy it, whatever. So anyway, and their kids, by the way, can read. Finnish kids can read. So I'm kind of good with that. There we go. All righty. Keep going down this road if I can. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I had the wrong mic on. You guys are right. I'm sorry. I'm way behind on this. I'm like an hour behind. I'm trying to catch up. Shelley says, dare we speak against the military-industrial complex and the resulting interference in wars? Here's the problem. The military-industrial complex, it is a massive jobs program. That's the problem. And I know, again, hardcore libertarians go, the government doesn't create jobs. Again, that's libertarian propaganda. Of course it does. Of course it does. Creates tons of them constantly. But in my state, New York, creates most of them. Government creates tons of jobs. You might go, which is that real job? Okay, if it pays your bills, it's a real job. Right? So if I got a government job or a job from the military industrial complex or something like that, or from a government grant, and it's paying my bills, paying my rent, paying my car note, paying my insurance, it's a real job. The problem is if we trash the military industrial complex overnight, our economy goes under. That's the problem. Our economy is built upon debt, built upon the military industrial complex. I wish it wasn't. So JJ says, thoughts on Bitcoin. What's his current price? Do you guys think I follow Bitcoin every day? Tell me what the price is. Young Nate. Nate, how are you, brother? On deployment with the Navy, I was on the boarding team. We boarded Russian freightliners, mustered their crew on the bow at gunpoint, and threw their caviar into the Arabian Sea because NATO said no. There we go. Yes, NATO said no. There we go. The Beauty says, I spoke to the ex-governor of California about you, Governor Gray Davis. Aw, he's a good man, Larry. He was not recalled because of corruption. He's an honest man. There's a lot of room for honesty in politics. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. He goes on to say he has a friend in New York. I think taking a meeting with him would be fruitful. I would happily have a conversation. Absolutely. I would happily set that up. I'm happy to have it. Absolutely. Yes. Phil, if you could reach out, that'd be amazing. Yes, it'll happen. Yes. Over on Rumble, Rio John Hancock says, unashamedly plugging my campaign, John Hancock for Congress. Well, guys, you can go, you see it. It is donorbox.org/Hancock for -liberty. Please check out John Hancock. He's the real John Hancock, and he is plugging his campaign for Congress. So please enjoy. There we go. All right. Thank you for that. All righty. Let me walk down this one. Little Frog says, BRICS members and the system they use has been operating alongside a dollar and not trying to replace it. We've been debasing killing our own dollar by killing both our people and everyone else. Yes, it exists still. It's not dead. Mike says it's dead. He's exaggerating. It's not dead. It's nowhere near what they said. The talk was amazing. Like, oh, it's going to replace everything. That's talk. That's BRICS propaganda. That's not there. But it is not dead. It is slowly, exactly right. It is still there. There is a system that exists. It's just slowly popping up. It will eventually be, excuse me, it will eventually be a competitor. I don't know when that's going to happen. I couldn't guess. 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. We'll see. So I don't know. All right. Let's see here. D says, so he's just going to come beg for more money from Big Daddy Trump, right? Yes. Of course they're going to. Of course. That's always their plan. Their plan is always get America to give us more money. That's always the plan. Now, hopefully Trump will say no. I hope he will. Oh, you never know. Just say you never know. But I would hope he would say no. So look, we often talk about currency issues, crisis. We do. It's a common thing we talk about here. Not as much as we should probably. But it's another place where you could actually find that. You knew it was civil. It's always civil. So yes, there is absolutely. You can head over to Civil if you want to, civil.com, CIVL.com, and see Peter Schiff, who talked about this literally years ago. This is years ago.
Peter, good to see you win re-election. And I want to spend today talking about Trump public policy leading into Biden public policy.
Yep.
I'm sure the short answer of that is we're totally screwed, but let's maybe dig into that.
And here's what I would add. People will often just go, the Dems are bad at money or whatever. That's not necessarily true at all. Biden was a bad president for many reasons, but I would say he was worse than presidents like Obama and Clinton, who were the Democrats before him. Neither one of those guys did stuff that Biden did. Every president since Biden and before Biden used American financial power to try to push the will of other people. Trump did it. Obama did it. Bush did it. They all did it. Nowhere near to the level of Biden. Not even close. Like night and day. It's not even close. They all did it. Like, oh, we're going to get this guy or get that guy. Every president did it. Trump did. Clinton, Obama, Bush. All of them did something. All of them did. But nowhere near to the massive amount that Biden did. Biden spurred de-dollarization more than anybody else. Biden spurred this so much more. And now Trump's paying a price for it. Now, I don't think Trump's doing a good job fixing it. He could do better, and he's not. He's not as bad as Biden is. But again, neither was Obama, neither was Bush. Biden was the worst on that. Biden was the worst on immigration. I say it often. People go, oh, it's the damn immigration. Nope. Obama wasn't that bad in immigration. Neither was Clinton. Biden was. Biden really slammed this country in many ways when it comes to finances. And I mean, he slammed us hard. He was exactly the wrong guy for the time. He was a dinosaur when we needed something brand new. And and we see it happening now. And they were talking about this. This is on Civil. They were talking about this before Biden even came into power.
But I was thinking about it at the time, but for the fact that everything was so weird in 2020, it would be quite normal for an incumbent president with an economy in shambles to lose re-election. Was that the basis of your prediction?
Well, remember, I predicted that Trump would be a one-termer from the day he was elected. In fact, a lot of people were saying that he was going to be the new Ronald Reagan, and I said it was more like the new Jimmy Carter, only with the political parties reversed.
This is I'm talking years ago. You want to hear stuff like this? You want to hear people talk about stuff? You come to Civil. CIVL.com. Code is Larry10. Larry, the coolest name on the internet. Plus 10% off. They're a sponsor of the show. Not just that, I'm on it too. Head over to Civil. Check it out. They're a very special 6 We Fix It Wednesdays only on Civil. Please go check out Civil. See guys like Peter Schiff talk. See guys like Matt Kibbe talk. Have a back and forth conversation, not just about, oh, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. Not just that. Real conversations, upgrading civilization without the conflict machine. That is civil.com, CIVL.com, promo code Larry10. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. All right, let me walk down a couple more of these roads if I could. All righty. Okay, Wesley says the federal government's now spending over $1 trillion a year on interest on national debt. Yes. We're not paying this down. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Paying down the debt is not a thing. Just isn't. I wish it was, right? I wish it was a thing. I don't see it as a thing at all. I feel like it's a disaster. Just an absolute disaster. So, all right, keep going down here if I can. All righty. Lunatic says, this is why I say money isn't real. Again, look, money is as real as we make it, right? If I believe it's real and I will take, then yeah, it's real, right? As we make it. But yeah, is it? No, it's whatever we think it is. And when we stop believing it, not anymore. So yes. All righty. I'll grab a couple of these. Okay. Adi says, so in other words, I can expect the cupcake press secretary to double down on how fantastic the economy is. Yes. Yes, you can. Andrea says, I wouldn't buy U.S. Treasury bonds either. Clearly, the Chinese are agreeing with you, Andrea. They're agreeing with you. Yes. Excuse me. All right. Let's see if I can go down here. You guys grabbed that one already. I appreciate that. I'm working a couple more of these. That's good too. All right. What says, is it true that our monetary system is doomed to a failed pyramid scheme, i.e., are all the dollars in circulation created as a debt obligation owed back to the banks with impossible to pay interest? Yes. Yes. So you have to at one point make the dollar worth something, right? The many libertarians will say, well, you have to go back. You have to go back to gold. I'm not sure that's real. I'm not sure how we make that shift. But we've got to do something. We've got to pull it back to value something, and it has to be in a way that people accept it. This goes back to Lunatic's point. If people don't believe the money's real, it's not real. If people believe the money's real, it is. That's the issue. If they believe it, it's real. We've got to make them we have to find a way to get people to go, yeah, I'm in. This makes sense, which is not easy. So, Phil, thank you for $2. Inflation steals value from the people with US dollars everywhere. Yes. Yes. Phil says Biden's cabinet, I don't think he knew. You know what? I say that often. Look, here's the reality. I don't know what Biden knew. We don't know how loosened, he was. But whether he knew or not, it was his cabinet, it was his administration. He's responsible. Trump, I said something about Trump. I don't know if Trump is the one coming up with these ideas or not, but win, lose, or draw, Trump's administration is responsible. He gets credit for the wins and he gets blamed for the losses. It's how it works, whether they like it or not. You go, oh, well, Biden didn't know it's because this guy. Maybe Biden didn't know. It's possible. Don't care. Maybe Trump didn't know. Don't care. And people will say the same thing. Well, you can't give, Trump credit for this because it's Biden's economy. You can't give Biden's credit because it's Trump's economy. After a year, it's your economy, whether you like it or not. This has been a year now. This economy is now Trump's, like it or not. Biden is his economy after a year after Trump, whether you like it or not. It's his. You don't like it, don't buy it. Don't run. That's how it works. That's how it works. So I'm with you. He may not have known. I don't care. But yes, he may not have known. Agreed is all I'm saying. Yes. All right. John says, national defense is in the Constitution. World police is not in the Constitution. True. Yes. So Phil says, we can't afford a war in Venezuela. I would argue that maybe we can't not afford it. Why am I saying that? Our economy is built on a military-industrial complex. You've got to change that. If we don't change what our economy is built upon, right? How are we going to change? Wesley said it. Wesley said it earlier today. He said, we are a war economy. Yes, he's not wrong. Here in New York State, over 50% of all new jobs in New York State come somehow from the military-industrial complex. Yes. Think about how worse this state will be without it. I'm not saying I want it. I'm saying we have to find a transition, and it's not easy. Yes. Mike says, Japan is in a transition as it absorbs the cost of new military, as the economy supports its building. U.S. is in a far better position now versus 2024, and end of Ukraine will boost U.S. economy, thus Greenland in play. Greenland's in play for, as I mentioned, I did this show last year sometime, was it? Or was it earlier this year? No, earlier this year. Yeah, earlier this year. Because of the Arctic. That's why it's in play. We have to, that's why he wants it, because the Arctic. That's it. That's the reason why he wants a Greenland. I understand it. I don't know why he's being so aggressive. And I know why the Danes don't want to get rid of it. Look, if you want to spend all this money and all this stuff on something, don't spend it on the Ukraine war. Don't spend it in Gaza and Israel. Don't do that. Israelis, don't do that. Buy it off of Denmark. Bribe the Danes. I'm not even joking when I say this. There's like 50,000 Greenlanders. I'm not joking. And like 85% or something like that are like Inuits. I mean, it's something, I'm not exact, but it's around that. It's like 85% of them are Inuits. It's like 50,000 of them total. Write him a check. Just write him a check. Hey, can we have Greenland? What? Can you just become part of us? We'll give you all like $100,000. Done. Don't give it to freaking, I don't know, Ukraine. Give it to the Greenlanders. Here's a bunch of money. Vote yes on America. We'll give you 25 up front, 75 once you vote yes. Done. I wish I was joking. I'm not. They'd go, yeah, we're in. USA, USA. Done. They all go USA, USA. Boom, we're done. Now, that makes more sense. You get Greenland, life is good. Move on. Right? Not a problem, of course. Russians might want to buy more. Who knows? Right? Well, anyway. But at that point, we would just use our weapons and go, no, you can't. We'll just bomb you. So we would take it and then bomb anyone else who would say take Greenland. So we would change the rules, obviously, because that's what America does. So we would do that, of course. So U.S. being in a far better position, you mean economy-wise or you mean war? I'm assuming you mean economy. The U.S. economy is nowhere near in a far better position. Not even close. AI is wrecking our economy. Like there's no tomorrow. We've lost over 1 million jobs that were not replaced this year, over 1 million that just were gone and not replaced. Again, America very often sheds jobs. That's not a problem as long as you're replacing them, right? If I lose my job, but I get a better one in a month or two, life is good. I don't care. I'm getting better jobs and moving up. That's wonderful. Or it's decent if I lose my job and a month I get another job. It's equal at least. I lost a month, but the world's not going to end. We're having it to where we're losing jobs and that's it. There is a group of people in America, a demographic, where if you're over, say, 40 or 50, and you've been in the same job 15 years or 20 years and you get let go, you will never have a full-time job again. Never. No chance. Zero. You'll be a gig worker, or you'll be on something, or you'll be doing part-time work. Or you have 3 or 4 part-time jobs. You will never have a full-time job again. There's a group of people in that world. Never. That's what we are. That's not a far better position. We have youngsters who are checking out. We got 8 to 10 million young men who've checked out, who don't want a job, who don't want a girlfriend, who don't want a relationship, who don't want a career. That's not a better position. I don't know what you're talking about. There is no better position for America than no, not true at all. There's no data that tells you that, except GDP, which is floated by AI spending, which is insane, and government spending, which is insane. So GDP no longer has the value it used to have. So pump up by government, pump up by AI. That's not good. We are not in a good position. I don't mean to be Debbie Downer here. I'm not trying to be that. The opposite. I'm trying to say this is why we have to fall back to localism, right? I know Lunatic's on my side of this one. I know he is. We got to fall back to localism. We're going to find our value. We're going to find our purpose. We're going to find our love. We're going to find our respect locally. That's it. Through helping each other locally, through our own systems, through our own everything. I keep saying it. I keep pushing it. It's the answer. This idea that big business is going to take care of you, that hasn't been true in years and will not be true for a long time. I don't know if that's ever going to come back. I think it's gone and never going to come back. So yeah, the U.S. economy is $39 trillion in debt. That's not a better position. Where are the new jobs coming from? Our colleges are garbage. There's literally hundreds of them, by the way, colleges going out of business, going under because people aren't going anymore because it's useless. If you don't have a plan for college, like I'm going to become a lawyer, I'm going to become a doctor, I'm going to become an engineer. If you don't have a plan for college, college is literally a waste of money. And they're figuring it out now. This is not a better position at all. I don't know how you can say that. I don't know what data you would say. It's not at all. So Gibbs says, I hope your friend Lars wins the Libertarian nomination for president in 2028 if he's planning to run again. I hope so too. I would back him, but I think he'd be mad at me if I told people that he was running. He's not running. If I told, he'd be mad. He's not running. He didn't say that. So I'm sure. Yes. John says, wars take money. So does Putin invade Ukraine if President Biden doesn't lift sanctions on Nord Stream 2, allowing Putin to bring in billions? Did Europe fund Putin's war? Of course. The world funded this war. Here's the problem, John. People want what Russia has. Oil, gas, minerals. People want it. They're going to buy it. American go, no. Yeah, like people want drugs. Like the war on drugs worked. Doesn't work. Prohibition does not work. It doesn't work. Give people another option. I don't know, like nuclear. We got to stop our nuclear power plants. How insanely stupid was that? Germany's regretting that shit right now. Bad. Big time. Germany's in trouble. Germany is considering, I'm not joking, Germany is considering bringing in the draft. The draft. So the Germans want to mobilize. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? That's never been a problem in the past. Oh, wait. Yes. Why would they want to mobilize? Why? Because they create a wartime economy, heavy debt, create their own military industrial complex. But when you do that, you become an empire. And you kind of have to invade countries. Germany is mobilizing, creating a military industrial complex. What could go wrong? That's never had a problem. Yes. Yes. Phil says, we are never, ever, ever paying back our debtors. True. Yes. 100%. So what he says, Bitcoin costs approximately $20 to move from account to account. $20 fees per transaction. Am I wrong? Please tell me if I am. No, it doesn't work well as a currency. It was made to be a currency, but it doesn't work well as a currency. And people don't think it's a currency yet. They will have something. There has to be a Bitcoin too. I don't know what that is. I am not a techie guy in that regard at all. I don't know what Bitcoin 2 is. I have no idea how that works, but there would have to be a Bitcoin 2. Could it be based off of Bitcoin? Maybe. But again, people right now still see Bitcoin as literally as an investment. So yes. All right. Let's see here. D Nice says, is it possible the Ukraine war ends? Could those fighters become the next group to look out for, if you know what I mean? 100%. I said it all the time. Most of those guys, this is why the wars in the Middle East have to end before Ukraine ends. If there's fighting in the Middle East after Ukraine war ends, all those mercs are going to find themselves in the Middle East. That's how it works after every massive war. Every time. Remember, this is 4 years of war. You're going to have tens of thousands of trained, battle-hardened men who are making $2,000 or $3,000 a month now. You might go, that's a lot of money. Well, if they go back to Russia, Siberia, where they're from, many of them are from those areas. They're going to go work at the gas station for $500 a month. They could. Some will. Some will go back home to their families, miss their families, and go back. And, I'm happy to be with family. I make $500 a month, and I'll live out my life. Some will do that. But a chunk are going to go, wait a minute. I can go back $500 a month, or I can go work for a private military company in Africa somewhere and make $4,000 a month, 8 times what I make there. Yeah, I might die, but I'm not afraid of death anymore because I've been fighting this war for 4 years or whatever. I've been fighting this war. I'm not afraid of death. I don't care. I can make $4,000 a month. But more importantly, if you're Putin and you go, great, we just fought this war. Now I'm going to take whatever, 200,000, 400,000, whatever amount of people I have. I'm going to take 400,000 Russians, men who are trained, who know how to fight, and I'm going to put them back in my country pissed off. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. No. So I'm going to encourage them to go into Russia to get money from local warlords and the Middle East, because Qatar funds half of that garbage anyway. So Qatar is going to run them big checks. And at the $4,000 they get, they're going to piss $2,000 away every month and send $2,000 back to Russia to their family and friends. So he's like, good, send the money back. Maybe come back on vacation, knock up some women. So we have some more Russian babies, and then head back out to fight in Niger or whatever you're going to fight. And you go ahead and fight in Burundi or whatever, fighting in the Congo, send that money back home. I wish I was joking, but we saw that happen already. It's been happening all the time. The most popular one that we can think of is the conquistadors. It's why South America is Spanish. I wish I was making that up. That's the reason why South America is Spanish. Because the Spanish spent all that time fighting the Moors, pushing them out of Spain. They had thousands of conquistadors who were accustomed to fighting, battling, all that stuff. And now they want stability in Spain. And Queen Isabella goes, do I really want these guys? I don't want them here. Send them to the New World. They can go kill the Native Americans. Go do that. And he did. And they sent thousands of them to the New World. That literally happened. After World War II, most of the German soldiers who still wanted to fight and could fight, they joined the French Foreign Legion. I'm not making this up. When the French were defending parts of Vietnam in the 50s, before the Americans got involved, some of their units only spoke German. Again, do your homework. I'm not making this up. Some of the units only spoke German. They were all former fighters from the German army, from the Wehrmacht. They joined. Some of the songs the French Legion sings to this day are German marching songs. Still true. After the Soviet Union fell, a bunch of Yugoslavian fighters, they're Russians. Happens all the time. So yes, this is a worry. Yes. So where are they going to go? They're going to come to America. They don't care about America. They want to get paid. This is not ideological for them. This is going to be dollars. Where are they going to go? Wherever the war is. Right now, the wars are happening in Africa. Right? Africa and the Middle East. But if Syria is calm by then, if I'm Israel, I want Syria calm and stable by then. If I'm Turkey, I may not. Depends on what I'm thinking. If I'm Israel, I want to be Turkey's best buddy right now, and I want Syria calm as can be. If Syria is calm as can be, and Turkey's my friend, I don't see 50,000 Ukrainian/Russian mercs show up in Syria. If they show up in Syria, not only are they trained, they also have firearms. They know how to do that. And they're drone trained and they're trench warfare trained. I don't want those guys in Syria if I'm Israel. I do not want them in Syria. If I'm Iran, oh boy, do I want them in Syria. I want them in Syria right away. In fact, what I really want is them in Iran. That's what I really want. But I'll take them in Syria. I want them if I'm Iran. If I'm Iran, I cannot wait to get those guys as fast as I possibly can. And if I get Qatar to help me pay for it, Win-win. Qatar got tons of money. So if I can get Qatar, yes. Now, what Israel wants is them heading into Sudan, South Sudan, Eritrea, those areas. Go fight over there. Now, what Putin's already set up from the Wagner Group, for those who don't know, Putin broke up the Wagner Group. It's going down a rabbit hole, but just so you asked, Putin broke up the Wagner Group already. It is smart. I think it's a very smart thing. He took most of the assault teams in the Wagner Group and did several things with them. He didn't personally, had his generals would obviously, but the generals did several things. Put some of them in as trainers into actual Russian units, so that now Russian units are better at being stormtroopers, right? Smart move, right? Good getting them, because most of the Wagner Group was stormtroopers. So now each Russian unit has stormtrooper units in it, right? From the Wagner Group, trainers and such. And a bunch of them send them over into West Africa, a bunch into West Africa. And obviously, Trump stopped this war. I'll give him credit for this one. Again, I will give credit where credit's due. He stopped the Burundi Rwandan war, which, believe it or not, the Romanians were there. They got thrown out because they got their ass kicked. So the Romanian mercs left. The Russians were about to come in, but Trump ended the war before they did. So the Russians went instead to West Africa, and they threw the French out. Minor stuff, but anyway, I hope that answers your question at least. So yes. All right. All righty. Let's see here. Little Fog says, got a call tonight. Thank you for giving me a real candidate to vote for in 2026 New York governor race. Thank you for caring. I appreciate that. Look, I pay attention to what's happening. I do. Phil, Sahel. Yes, thank you. It's called the Sahel. That area of those 4 countries is called the Sahel. Thank you. I forget what it's called sometimes. Yes, absolutely. So, all righty. Mastermind says Trump calls those shithole countries. He does, but he is incorrect. He is incorrect. Those countries are the future. Where is all the new people coming from? Where's all the population? All Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa specifically. Yes, it's the future. Yes, absolutely. So, all righty. Absolutely true. All righty. D says, but my congressman makes money off war. True. He trades Raytheon stock instead of representing his voters. Also true. Yes, all that's true. Kyle President says, government jobs are great jobs in New York State. Yes. This is my point. Libertarians will often say, well, it doesn't create jobs. Yeah, it does. Kyle, you're right. The government does. It creates jobs. Yes. Christopher says, other countries like Finland look to have great things like electric cars that charge while driving and all sorts of other things. Why can't we do it in New York/USA? I think we can if we focus locally. Yes. I talk about it all the time. Yes. I completely agree with you. I think we can. I talk about it all the time. I agree. You are correct. We should. And that we're not drives me crazy. We're focusing on the wrong things. We're focusing on the wrong things. You are correct. So, all righty. Let me keep walking down this road if I can. All right. Christopher goes on to say about Trump, I love the tariffs. He looks at the U.S. like a business, if it is positive. Here's the problem with tariffs. The problem with tariffs is they're not short term. They're not. Mike even says it. Mike says it too. They're not short term. And the problem that Trump did, and I keep saying this, the problem is he communicated terribly. I always go back to Milei. Milei was very savvy in his communication in Argentina. He said, this next year is going to suck. But after that, we're going to be great. Give me the year. Trump didn't do it. Trump was like, we're great. It's awesome tomorrow. Stopping the war in 24 hours. New golden age. He talked all the trash. He literally can talk his way. If these tariffs work, I'm not sure they're gonna. And one of the reasons why I'm not sure they're gonna is because they're not short term and America's looking short term. They're gonna be stopped. They're gonna end all of it. It's just gonna be punishment. If the Supreme Court does what I think it will do, which is somehow force Trump to end all these tariffs, and if Trump gets beaten in 2026 and all of a sudden the Congress becomes Democratic, they will end all of it. His tariffs will all go away and it will just be a folly. Tariffs are long-term. They're not short-term. And Trump communicated terribly in that. He should have communicated far better. Milei did a good job of communication. Trump did not. And Trump hasn't changed. He still hasn't changed. He really should have changed. He has not. And it was a mistake. I know you guys love Trump, be mad at me, but his communication was bad. It did not work well. He should have changed it. So, yes. Mike says, metal's doing better as Trump is getting closer to rare earth metal deal with Greenland, puts pressure on China, who have the mainstream on that. True. China's doing very well with that. It's accurate. Accurate statement. Yep. 100%. Accurate statement. So, Phil, thinking for $2. Albany is a company, town, and people fight for the corporation. Albany is a company, town, and people. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. I like that idea. Yes. Fight for your local place. Yeah. I agree with that. Localism does matter. I agree. All righty. Rich says, we can't afford the war. You will get robbed to pay for that war. Yes. Because it's a Ponzi scheme. We have to keep bringing money in. Yes, we have to keep bringing money in. That's the whole point. Yes. Strayer says, Trump is an old Democrat spender, not a Republican at heart. A lot of people think that. You're not the only person who says that. You're not the only person who says that. Yes. All righty. Okay. Phil says, U.S. Navy is complaining that they don't have enough ships and can't build them fast enough. Shipping's a problem, but I don't think that's true. I think America has tons of ships. The problem that we have more than anything is I'm not sure we have the right ships. If your goal is modern day major power on major power combat, our Navy is outgunned when it comes to land. Out in sea, we are unstoppable. Out at sea, we're unstoppable. But anywhere near land, the supersonic missiles, all that stuff will trash our Navy. We don't have the right Navy. We don't have enough of it yet. We should be doing almost only, I'm exaggerating, but almost only heavily drone defense, missile carriers, missile cruisers. That's about it. That, and then, like ships that can get our troops across when we have total and absolute air superiority and naval superiority. When that happens, you can't really bring troops across without total air and naval superiority. And of course, our submarines. But our submarines are great. But yeah, that's really that's the battleship ended World War II. That was the end of the battleship. No need for battleship up to World War II. That was the end. The carrier is about finished. The carrier will eventually. The carrier is about finished. When it comes to wars like that, when it comes to dealing with like pirates and controlling the sea lanes, carriers are the ultimate. They are amazing at that. Unbeatable at that. Unbeatable. So yes. All right. Okay. Phil says, Rich Alba, for a little while, Rome had the worst defeat and lost an entire legion before following Quintus Fabius, who decided to defeat Hannibal by harassing him and stealing his supplies. Yep. Look, Rome lost many battles. Rome was an empire. Remember, empires can lose wars. Countries can't. When a country loses a war, it's harmed horribly. When an empire loses a war, okay, next. Whatever. Next. Yes. Anti-hypocrisy party says, we got all the minerals here. True. It's true. The issue we have here, though, is when it comes to all the minerals, particularly minerals, is pulling the minerals out of the ground is expensive and dirty. And our laws won't let us do that. We can't do it. It's so expensive for us. So other countries don't care. So, and at a place like Greenland, you have another advantage, which is a lot of the areas are so desolate. The damage to the environment doesn't matter as much, right? So they have a lot of advantage also. So, but you're not wrong. We have them here. Phil said, thank you for $2. Government is a corporation. All others wither. Ooh, all others wither. I like that. So Phil says Ukrainians and Russians were fighting in Khartoum. Yes. Khartoum is it Chad or Sudan? Sudan, right? Chad is Sudan. I'm sorry. Khartoum is Sudan, right? Hold on. Hold on. Where is stop move? Will you stop? Yeah, Sudan. Yes, yeah, it'll be in Sudan. I wasn't sure if it was in Sudan or Chad, but yes. So yeah, that's my whole point. It is literally in Sudan. So thank you for that. All right. D says, I hope Larry brings up a cool advocate quiz or article. I will. Thank you for asking that. Absolutely, guys. This is the perfect timing, by the way, for exactly that. It's perfect timing for the federal spending survey. Bingo. How much should we spend and how should we spend? You could even go to National Security and Foreign Policy Survey. 2 of them. Oh, wait a minute. You want to go further? The Government Debt, Money, and Monetary Policy Survey. All of the surveys here just for you. This is literally the advocates. Click the link that is literally on the link that is actually in the description. The description on Facebook, YouTube, and also Rumble. There's a link there. It says link to the advocates. Click that link and please take one of these 3, the National Security and Foreign Policy Survey, or the Government Debt, Money, and Monetary Policy Survey, or as we go higher, the Federal Spending Survey. Any of those 3. Pick the one you want. Take one of them. After you take the survey, it's short. It's like 3 minutes. Take the survey. Once you're done taking the survey, immediately share it. It's free. Costs you nothing. They will ask you for your email. If you want to give it, give it. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can just click the button. You'll still get your results. But if you want to give us an email, please do so, because they'll send you cool emails once a month or so about cool libertarian stuff, and it's good. I get it. So please do so if you would. Share it out. Why? Because more people talking about this, the better. It does matter. They're a sponsor of the show. You help the show out for free. Take one of these and share it. It is theadvocates.org. Thanks for support. Appreciate it. All righty. So we popped all those if we could. We got a couple more comments while I am here, if I can. All righty. D says, Larry sounds like he's still slightly sick. I cannot get rid of this. Can't get rid of this. You are right. Cannot get rid of this. Yes. So, all righty. Kyle says, we have the best and most ships. True. We're good. Totally true. Yes. The problem is that what others have done, like the Chinese and the Russians, is because they can't match our ships, they decided to have a way of destroying our ships, which is supersonic missiles. Those missiles can wreck our ships, except for some of our ships have a good defense against it, like the Aegis and things like that can defend against that kind of missile. But many of our ships have no defense against that missile. The missile is simply too fast. We can't see in advance. It'll pop up and just blast us. It's very hard to stop those supersonic missiles. So, and they have lots of them. Russians have them and Chinese have them. Both have those missiles. We don't have a good defense yet against them. We should. Again, some of our ships do. Most don't. So we have to worry about that piece. That's ours. But yeah, I don't think we need any more ships. I'm like, Jesus, we have a bunch of ships. Don't we have enough? But anyway, Krista says we should be drilling as much oil as possible for the reserves back up and depleted. Yes, agreed. I think we should be. I'm with you 100%. And again, we haven't, right? Because again, we want a virtue signal, but now we're in trouble. No virtue signaling. Let's drill as we can, go work towards nuclear. So now when we drill, let's sell it for someone else who doesn't want to do nuclear. I think we make oil just for other people, not for us. I mean, we'll need some of it, but I think we nuclear power the whole damn place. Have our reserves like we need to and move on. Yes. John says the problem with Alaska, a massive portion of Alaska, 60% of its total land, is federally protected with national parks and reserves. We could sell that to pay off some of our debt, make a sovereign fund. Could make a sovereign fund. Just saying, we could make a sovereign fund. It is something that we could do. Absolutely. So, guys, I've been asking you in the past to click the like button. Please click it if you would. The like button does matter. Every little bit counts. If you haven't shared this or reposted it, please do so. If you have not subscribed or followed whatever the page, please do so. Every bit counts. I am struggling to move this forward because my marketing is cut in half. So please do so. I hope you enjoy the shows that I keep giving you. I'm trying to give you I'm trying to give you special insight to the best of my ability. I'm trying to make it interesting for you so you can see what's going on and understand that we focus on stuff that actually matters, not just some other stuff. I know people want me to talk about other stuff, and I do sometimes. I do. But I also want to talk about stuff that actually matters. It does matter. So, yeah. Any case, remember, after this is over, please do me a favor and comment. I want you to comment on what do you think about sanctions? I don't care what that is. Good, bad, indifferent. What do you think about sanctions? Please comment that after this live is over. And if you're watching this and it's not live, remember, a couple videos going to pop up. Please check out one of those videos. Watch them right away. I'll be on tomorrow with an AMA. I will see you all very soon.